as well.
Yeah. So I kind of want to switch to this idea of motivation because this kind of ties into the point I finished on there. So if you are trying to be the person who hits the highlight reel, I remember that maybe you do too. That stuff was like fun to practice, and I always wanted to do that stuff. So now we're talking about some of these side things where if you do this other stuff, that'll actually make you a better player. It's not it's not as often the fun thing to work on or the fun thing to focus on. So let's for as an off example is like you watch a full hockey game and try to study the third line right winger for a full game. It's like that actually takes attention and focus, and maybe you don't actually want to do that much, you know. And this starts to bring into the conversation the motivation thing because a lot of people, whether it's in the gym or working on skills or whatever, it's like how do I feel? How do I make sure I'm motivated to work on XYZ thing? And I feel like it's easy to I don't even know if motivated is the right word, but it's easy to feel motivated when you're doing something you want to do. It's not as easy to feel motivated when it's something that you either don't want to do or you don't want to do as much as something else. So for you, from your perspective, like what do you find is like the role of feeling motivated or being motivated to do, practicing things that you like versus you don't like, or skills you need to work on, or these even last night I was with a kid and we are doing backwards crossovers with a younger group, and he was like, man, I keep shying away from my left foot because I'm not good at it, but my right foot I'm good at it. It's like, yeah, you got to kind of force the issue, man. Even though it's frustrating and hard. So just let's go general thoughts about being motivated to practice first of all,
Yeah.
and then we'll take it from there.
Well, being like as we said before, and we didn't invent this, but being motivated is very fleeting. Like it's very motivating to sit there on a Sunday night or a Friday night and say, okay, on Monday, I'm starting the new diet. Like I'm going to get in shape. I'm getting to the gym. In fact, I'm not even going to get there. I'm going to make sure I get my meals prepared for Monday. I'm going to go to the gym, and then later on that day, I'm even going to go for a run because I'm going to build muscle. I'm going to eat right, and I'm going to burn some calories later in the day and just really attack this thing. It's the easiest thing to say on when you're not doing it because you're high in, you've got an idea. It's like, yeah, I'm just going to do this thing. But then Monday morning rolls around and you still might have that and you might have everything ready and to go. And then you do get to the gym and you do everything that first day and that's fine. But it's the motivation, like things get in the way, things get in your brain, lack of sleep, and just keeping motivated is different because maybe that was harder than you thought, or you bit off more than you can chew, or you want to see results like right now. So then Tuesday comes and you go, well, I worked really hard yesterday, so I'll just do it again tomorrow. And so, anyways, my point is motivation is just very fleeting. It's all it is a feeling, right? I think the better way that people should look at it is just making commitments. And I'm not saying that's easy either, but it's living up to your commitments because being motivated, if you're being motivated, is you'll do it if you feel like it. And then when you come down to doing hard things, um, like let's say you have in the gym, you don't like to do your legs, which wouldn't be very smart as a hockey player, but you don't like doing legs or you don't like doing glute exercises or the warm up or whatever. Well, that affects you later. But if you don't feel like it, that's one thing, but you have to understand that you need to do it. Right. And then there's another piece to that, I think, too, is like what I've noticed with people that seem to be motivated is they are willing to stick to, or the stick to itiveness to do things that they're not good at. Right. So if you see someone that, you know, and you'll see it in a lot of different areas. So you see, like maybe you give someone a guitar and they're interested or motivated to learn a little bit, but it's like the first note they're just having a hard time with. Of course. Well, after 3, 4 tries, a lot of the times people will go, okay, I don't like doing that. And they just stop. Or you play a game of cornhole or whatever. And it's like, if they start losing, it's like, okay, their give a shit meter goes away. And I find there's that stick to itiveness that makes a difference in commitment as well. So anyways, it's not about being motivated. It's good to be motivated, but then it's about being committed and understanding why you're doing something. And It's just doing it whether you feel like it or not. And that's just the bottom line. I mean, there are days and there are times where, um, for example, use the gym thing again. It's like you just didn't sleep and you feel like crap and you just it's not good for you that day where you just it's probably better not to do the workout. But if that happens day 2, day 3, day 4, like in the early parts, that's probably you're just making excuses. So it's important to just live to the commitment. So for example, sticking again with well, let's not say the gym. It's just let's say it's a hockey player that decides every morning before I after I take my morning pee, I'm going to do 50 squats and 50 push-ups before I do anything else, right? That's reasonable, right? And it's just making the commitment to do that. It's not that hard. Anybody can do that, right? So you could say, well, I set my clock late. Well, that's an excuse. I just my legs were sore. That's an excuse. You can do those things. It's just it's doing the thing that you said you were going to do, even though it's hard. It's like you don't have to be motivated to squat 50 times your body weight, right? It's just it's doing what you say you're going to do. The feeling of the feeling doesn't actually matter.
Yeah.
That's the bottom
Yeah,
line with
that's
that.
kind of my thing
Yeah.
too. Like the feeling good about it or feeling motivated is like the cherry on top. But that's a Jocko thing that I love. He always says it does, your feelings don't get a vote. That's my favorite. That's my favorite thing that he says. And doing things that when you don't feel like doing it is actually kind of a skill. Like you can get better at doing things you don't want to be doing when you know you should be doing them. And so kind of like tying this in with the highlights thing, it's easy to go out and practice trying to hit the crossbar because that's kind of fun. It's not so easy to practice, making sure that you hit that guy's tape no matter what. You put a little piece of tape on the wall and make sure you pass it right on 100 times in a row. That can get boring. Watching the third line right winger in his D zone and studying why that player is in the NHL, that can get boring, because it's not as exciting. But those are the things that will actually make you better, So, and forcing yourself to do that, that's a skill that you can get better at over time. Where it doesn't matter that you feel like it or you don't feel like it. This is what I have to do now. And the analogy I always make with when I'm explaining it more to adults and kids, or even with kids, I use the example of school, but either work or school. It's like you have to go. So in the morning, you wake up, it's Monday morning, you have to go to school. You don't get to not go. Some people's parents may let them stay home or whatever, but generally speaking, you have to go. You have to work Monday morning, you have to go. So you're going to wake up, you're going to be laying in your bed and be like, oh my God, I do not want to go. I would love to just sit in my bed, but I have to get up and I have to go, and you do. That's the skill. It's right there. You can see that skill right there. I don't want to go. I have to, because if I don't, there's a consequence. Okay, so you got up and you went.
Yeah.
So now you can.
Well, it's like I got a couple buddies that are chicken farmers, right? One plays on our team, and my other buddy Jordan that lives in that area.
Mhm.
They're chicken farmers. It's like they don't get to say, "I don't want to be a chicken farmer today."
Yeah,
They have to get up at 5 o'clock and milk their chickens.
yeah,
They got to do it every single day, right? They got to do it
exactly.
every day. It's like you just can't say it. So you could just sit there and I'm sure there's days when they get up and they say, I just don't feel like doing it today. I just don't want to do it. And, yelling at the wife, like, start the tractor, honey, because I'm motivated now. It's like, no,
Yeah,
you got to milk the chickens. Like,
yeah,
you got to
yeah,
do it.
yeah.
You got to do it. There's no choice or else you don't have a business.
Exactly. And so I think that using that example of waking up to have to go to school, or for parents, whatever, waking up, you have to go to work. You're doing it right there. That's the skill. And so when you take it down to some of this other stuff, whether you feel motivated or not, it's like, I have to. So if you're a hockey player and you want to get better at whatever thing you need to work on, and that is in itself a challenge. Maybe you don't know what you need to work on, but that's one of the things you have to figure out. Let's say it's being right winger in the D zone. Then what's the best way to work on that? Well, unfortunately, it's not practicing going bar down in your driveway. You should also practice doing that, but you should spend some time focused on how to get better in your D zone as a winger. And so that's not as fun, but you have to do it. So right there, you can try to transfer that skill of I have to get up and go to school to I have to get up and study my right winger in the D zone because that's something I want to get better at. So I think that's where what you feel about that, to your point, it doesn't totally not matter at all. It's totally irrelevant. you have to make sure you get it done because that's the thing that'll actually contribute to you um, being a better player. And it's funny because sometimes we can talk about this stuff like it's so serious. Very few kids actually do these things, and a lot of kids will end up going on and being higher level hockey players anyways. And it's almost like by accident. They happen to be good. They developed on the right path. They have some natural IQ to the game, whatever. But if you do some of these things, it just increases your chances
Yeah.
of
Getting something out of it.
getting something out of it.
Yeah.
So if you're 13 and you start doing some of this stuff, if you're 15 and you start doing some of this stuff, it's just increasing your chances of, instead of it being an accident that you're a really good player, it's like a little bit more intentional now, which is where you can get the benefit. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Well,